The wind howled through the Montana plains, carrying the scent of sagebrush and regret. Noah Harper stood alone on the porch of the old family ranch, his heart pounding like a war drum as he clutched a sealed envelope, his grandfather's last letter. He was the outcast, the gay triplet, disowned by his brothers, left with nothing but whispers of a legacy that might still rewrite his story. The Harper triplets, Eli, Caleb, and Noah, had once been inseparable, their laughter echoing across the sprawling acres of their grandfather Amos's ranch in Bozeman. Born minutes apart, they shared the same hazel eyes, the same stubborn jawline, but their paths had diverged like rivers splitting at a fork. Eli, the eldest by 4 minutes, was the golden son, a stoic rancher with a fiancée and a future mapped out in cattle and land. Caleb, the middle triplet, was a wildfire reckless, charming, and fiercely loyal to the family name. Noah, the youngest, was the dreamer, the artist, the one who dared to love openly and paid the price. 2 years ago, Noah had come out to his family. The memory still burned: Eli's cold silence, Caleb's shouted accusations, their mother's tears, and their father's ultimatum: leave or lose everything. Amos, their grandfather, had been the only one to hold Noah's hand that night, his weathered fingers trembling but firm. "You're still my boy," Amos had whispered. But when Amos died 6 months later, his will left the ranch and its wealth to Eli and Caleb. Noah got nothinger, so they thought. The envelope in Noah's hands was Amos's final secret, delivered by a lawyer who tracked him down in Seattle, where Noah had fled to rebuild his life. The paper felt heavy, as if it held more than words. He tore it open, his breath catching as he read the first line: "To Noah, my truest heir." The ranch house loomed behind him, its weathered cedar walls a monument to a family fractured by pride. Noah hadn't set foot here in 2 years, not since the night he'd been cast out. He'd built a new life in Seatley, a small studio apartment, a job at an art gallery, a boyfriend named Julian who made him laugh until his sides ached. But the ranch was his roots, his history, and the ache of its loss never faded. The letter trembled in his hands. Amos's handwriting was shaky but deliberate. "The ranch is yours, Noah, if you can bring your brothers back to you. Not by force, but by truth. The land knows who you are. Find the cedar chest in the attic. It holds what I couldn't say in life." Noah's eyes stung. Amos had always been cryptic, a man of riddles and quiet wisdom, but this felt like a lifeline thrown across a chasm. He heard the crunch of gravel and looked up. Eli's truck rolled into the driveway, dust swirling like ghosts in the twilight. Eli stepped out, his boots heavy on the ground, his face unreadable. Caleb followed, his flannel shirt untucked, a cigarette dangling from his lips. They hadn't changed, yet they looked older, worn by time or guilt or both. "What the hell are you doing here?" Caleb's voice was sharp, but there was a crack in it, a hesitation Noah hadn't heard before. Noah held up the letter. "Grandpa had something to say. To all of us." Eli's eyes narrowed. "He left us the ranch. You got nothing. That's what you chose when you walked away." "I didn't walk away," Noah said, his voice low but steady. "You pushed me out." The air thickened with unspoken words. Caleb flicked his cigarette into the dirt, his jaw tight. "You don't belong here, Noah. Not anymore." "Then why did Grandpa send me this?" Noah waved the letter, his heart racing. "He says the ranch is mine, but only if we face the truth together." Eli snorted, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. "Truth? What truth? You left us to play house in the city. We stayed. We worked this land. You stayed because it was easy. Noah shot back. You never had to fight for who you are. Caleb stepped forward, fists clenched, but Eli grabbed his arm. Enough. Show us the letter. Noah hesitated, then handed it over. Eli read it first, his face hardening with every line. Caleb snatched it next, his eyes darting across the page. A cedar chest. He muttered. What game was the old man playing? There's only one way to find out, Noah said. He turned toward the house, his pulse hammering. The attic. The chest. Whatever Amos had hidden, it was their last chance to mend what was broken or shatter it forever. The attic smelled of dust and memories, the air thick with the weight of years. The triplets climbed the narrow stairs in silence, their footsteps echoing like heartbeats. Noah led the way, his flashlight cutting through the gloom. Trunks and boxes cluttered the space, relics of a family that had once been whole. Eli's jaw was set, Caleb's hands restless, but they followed. They could not follow. The cedar chest sat in the corner, its carved lid gleaming faintly in the beam of light. Noah knelt before it, his fingers tracing the intricate patterns: horses, mountains, the Harper family crest. This is it, he whispered. Open it, Eli said, his voice gruff but curious. Noah lifted the lid, revealing a trove of papers, photographs, and a small leather journal. He reached for the journal first, its pages yellowed but intact. Amos's handwriting filled every line, a chronicle of the ranch, the family, and secrets no one had dared to speak. Read it, Caleb said, his voice softer now, almost pleading. Noah opened to the first page and began, to my grandsons, my heart, my legacy. I failed you in life, but I won't in death. The ranch is more than land, it's truth. Noah, you were brave when the others weren't. Eli, Caleb, you were strong, but strength without love is hollow. Find the deed. Find each other. The attic fell silent. Noah's throat tightened as he flipped through the journal, finding a folded document tucked inside the original deed to the ranch, with a handwritten note to Noah Harper, sole heir, unless his brothers stand with him as equals. Eli's face paled. Caleb swore under his breath. This can't be legal, Eli said, but his voice lacked conviction. It's Grandpa's will, Noah said. Not the one the lawyer read. The real one. Caleb grabbed the deed, his hands shaking. He can't just give it to you. After everything we've done for this place. He's not giving it to me, Noah said, meeting his brother's eyes. He's giving it to us. But only if we stop tearing each other apart. The flashlight flickered, casting shadows across their faces. For the first time in years, the triplets stood together, bound by a fragile thread of hope and a secret that could change everything. The night deepened, the Montana sky a canvas of stars above the Harper Ranch. Inside the attic, the air was thick with dust and tension, the cedar chest's contents spilling secrets like blood from a wound. Noah held the journal, its weight a reminder of Amos's faith in him, while Eli and Caleb stood rigid, their eyes locked on the deed that threatened to unravel their world. Eli broke the silence, his voice low and dangerous. This is a trick. You forged it, didn't you? To steal what's ours. Noah's chest tightened, but he met Eli's gaze. You know I didn't. You know Grandpa. He never played games with the truth. Caleb paced, his boots scuffing the attic floor. Then why hide it? Why not tell us when he was alive? Because we weren't ready, Noah said, his voice cracking. We were too busy hating each other. Eli snorted, but his hands betrayed him, trembling as he picked up a photograph from the Chesta faded image of the triplets as boys, grinning in the back of Amos's truck, their arms slung around each other. We were a family once, Eli muttered, almost to himself. We still are, Noah said softly. Or we could be. Caleb stopped pacing, his eyes darting between the photograph and Noah. You left, Noah. You chose your life over us. I chose to live, Noah shot back, his voice rising. You think I wanted to leave? You think I wanted to lose everything me home, my family, my name? You made that choice for me. The words hung heavy, a truth too raw to ignore. Eli's jaw clenched, but he said nothing. Caleb's shoulders slumped, his anger giving way to something softer, something like guilt. Noah turned back to the journal, flipping to a new page. Amos's words were a lifeline. The ranch was built on love, not pride. My son, your father forgot that. Don't let his mistakes bury you. Noah's voice wavered as he read aloud, each sentence a plea from beyond the grave. The journal detailed Amos's regrets, his failure to stand up to their father's bigotry, his silence when Noah was disowned, his hope that the ranch could heal what he couldn't. There's more, Noah said, pulling out a bundle of letters tied with twine. Each was addressed to one of the triplets, written in Amos's hand. Noah handed Eli and Caleb theirs, keeping his own unopened. He wanted us to know his heart. Eli tore into his letter, his eyes scanning the page. Caleb hesitated, then did the same. Noah watched them, his own letter burning in his hands. He didn't need to read it to know what it said. Amos had always seen him, always loved him. But the others, would they listen? Eli's voice was hoarse when he spoke. He says I was wrong to stay silent, that I let Dad's anger become mine. He looked up, his eyes glistening. He says the ranch means nothing if I lose my brothers. Caleb's letter fell to the floor, his face pale. He knew. He whispered. He knew I was scared. Scared of what people would think if I stood up for you, Noah. Noah's heart ached. You can still stand up, he said. It's not too late. The attic door creaked open, and their mother, Ruth, stood there, her face a mask of worry. What's going on up here? She asked, her voice trembling. She'd aged in the 2 years since Noah left, her hair streaked with gray, her eyes haunted. Noah held up the deed. Grandpa left us something. All of us. Ruth's breath caught as she took the document, her hands shaking as she read. This changes everything, she whispered. Your father'll never accept this. Then we make him, Eli said, his voice firm but laced with doubt. Or we do this without him. Caleb laughed bitterly. Without Dad. He'll burn this place down before he lets Noah have it. Then we fight, Noah said, surprising himself with his own resolve. For Grandpa. For us. Ruth's eyes filled with tears. I should have fought for you, Noah. I'm so sorry. The words hit like a tidal wave, and Noah felt his defenses crumble. He crossed the attic in 2 steps and pulled his mother into a hug, her sobs shaking them both. Eli and Caleb watched, their faces a mix of shame and longing. There's something else, Noah said, pulling back. He reached into the chest and found a small wooden box, its lid carved with the same crest as the chest. Inside was a key, old and tarnished, with a note to the bunkhouse. The truth waits there. The bunkhouse. Caleb frowned. That old shack hasn't been used in years. Then why lock it? Noah asked, his pulse quickening. Grandpa wanted us to find something. Together. The triplets exchanged glances, a silent agreement forming. They descended the attic stairs, Ruth trailing behind, and stepped into the cold night air. The bunkhouse stood at the edge of the ranch, its windows dark, its walls sagging under the weight of time. Noah's hand tightened around the key, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. Whatever lay inside, it was Amos's final gift and their last chance to reclaim each other. The bunkhouse door creaked as Noah turned the key, the sound slicing through the Montana night like a warning. The air inside was stale, thick with the ghosts of forgotten summers when the triplets had played here as boys, their laughter long since silenced. Noah's flashlight swept across the room, revealing dust-covered furniture, a rusted stove, and a locked trunk in the corner, its presence heavy with promise. Eli stepped forward, his boots stirring clouds of dust. "This is it?" he asked, his voice skeptical but curious. "What's so special about a trunk?" "Everything Grandpa did had a reason," Noah said, kneeling beside the trunk. The lock was old, but the key fit perfectly, clicking open with a sound that echoed in the small space. Caleb and Ruth crowded closer, their breaths held as Noah lifted the lid. Inside was a collection of memories, a quilt stitched by their grandmother, a stack of love letters between Amos and his late wife, and a leather-bound ledger marked Harper Ranch, 196-52025. Noah opened it, his fingers trembling. The pages detailed every acre, every deal, every sacrifice Amos had made to keep the ranch alive. But the final entry, dated the day before his death, was different. "The land is only as strong as the love that holds it. My boys must share I to lose it." Caleb's eyes widened. "He's saying we either stand together or the ranch gets sold." "Sold." Eli's voice was sharp. "To who?" Noah flipped to a loose page tucked in the back of contract, and signed, offering the ranch to a developer for millions. "To them," Noah said, his voice hollow. "Unless we agree to share it." Ruth gasped, her hand covering her mouth. "He wouldn't. Amos loved this place." "He loved us more," Noah said, meeting her eyes. "He knew we'd destroy each other fighting over it." Eli grabbed the contract, his face darkening as he read. "This is blackmail. He's forcing us to play nice. Or he's giving us a chance," Noah countered. "To be brothers again." Caleb laughed, but it was hollow. "Brothers? After what we did to you? You think a piece of paper fixes that?" Noah's chest ached, but he held Caleb's gaze. "It's not the paper. It's us. We decide what happens next." The bunkhouse fell silent, the weight of their choices pressing down. Ruth reached for the quilt, her fingers tracing the stitches. "This was your grandmother's," she said softly. "She made it for Amos when they were young. They fought, too, you know. But they always came back to each other." Eli's shoulders sagged, the fight draining from him. "I don't know how to fix this, Noah. I don't know how to be okay with you." "You don't have to be okay," Noah said, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes. "Just be here. Try." Caleb picked up the love letters, his fingers brushing the faded ink. "Grandpa wrote these when he was our age. He wasn't perfect either, but he loved hard." He looked at Noah, his eyes raw. "I should have loved you harder." The words hit Noah like a punch, and he blinked back tears. "You can start now." Eli tossed the contract onto the trunk, his voice low. What do we do? Sign the deed. Pretend everything's fine. No pretending, Noah said. We face it. All of it. The pain, the anger, the love. Grandpa thought we could. Ruth's voice was a whisper. Your father won't make this easy. He's coming tomorrow to finalize the estate. If he sees this, she trailed off, fear in her eyes. Then we stand together, Noah said, his heart pounding. For once. The night stretched on as they sifted through the trunk's contents, each item a piece of their shared history. The love letters revealed Amos's own struggles as doubts, his fears, his unwavering belief in his grandsons. The ledger showed the ranch's true value, not in dollars, but in the lives it had shaped. By dawn, the triplets were exhausted, their faces streaked with dust and tears. But something had shifted. They weren't whole, not yet, but they were closer than they'd been in years. As the sun rose, painting the plains gold, Noah's phone buzzed. A text from Julian. You okay? Miss you. Noah smiled, his heart lighter. He typed back, I'm fighting for us. All of us. The sound of tires on gravel broke the moment. Their father's truck pulled into the driveway, his silhouette unmistakable. Noah's stomach twisted, but he looked at Eli and Caleb, their faces set with determination. Whatever came next, they'd face it together or lose everything. The morning sun burned through the Montana haze, casting long shadows across the ranch as John Harper, the triplets' father, stepped out of his truck. His face was a storm cloud, his eyes cold as they landed on Noah. What's he doing here? John demanded, his voice cutting through the quiet. Noah stood tall, the deed clutched in his hand. Grandpa wanted me here, he said, his voice steady despite the fear clawing at his chest. He wanted us all here. John's gaze flicked to Eli and Caleb, who stood beside Noah, their expressions unreadable. You're wasting your time, John said. The will's settled. The ranch is theirs. Not according to this, Noah said, holding up the deed. Grandpa left it to all of yous or none of us. John's face reddened, his fists clenching. That's nonsense. Amos was losing his mind at the end. You think you can waltz back in and take what's not yours? It's not about taking, Noah said, his voice rising. It's about family. Something you forgot a long time ago. Eli stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. Dad, we found his Real will. In the bunkhouse. He wanted us to share the ranch. John laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Share. With him. He jabbed a finger at Noah. He made his choice. He's not a Harper anymore. That's not your call, Caleb snapped, surprising everyone. Grandpa's will says otherwise. And I'm done letting you decide who's family. The words hung in the air, a challenge no one had dared speak before. John's eyes widened, but he recovered quickly, turning to Ruth. You're letting this happen. You're letting him ruin everything. Ruth's voice was quiet but resolute. I lost one son because of you, John. I won't lose them all. John's jaw tightened, but he said nothing, his silence louder than any shout. Noah's heart pounded as he looked at his brothers, their faces a mix of defiance and fear. For the first time, they were a united front, fragile but real. We need to talk, Noah said, gesturing to the ranch house. All of us. Inside, the kitchen table became their battleground. The deed, the journal, the letters, and the contract lay spread out, a map of their fractured family. John sat at the head, his arms crossed, his eyes burning with resentment. Ruth sat beside him, her hands clasped tightly, while the triplets faced their father, the weight of Amos's legacy between them. Noah spoke first, his voice steady. Grandpa believed in us. He believed we could be better than this. The ranch is ours if we share it equally. If we don't, it goes to a developer. That's his terms. John scoffed. And you think you deserve a third? After you turned your back on us. I didn't turn my back, Noah said, his voice breaking. You locked me out. You told me I was a disgrace, that I didn't belong. But Grandpa saw me. He saw all of us. Eli leaned forward, his voice low. Dad, I stayed silent when you kicked Noah out. I thought it was easier. But it wasn't right. Grandpa's giving us a chance to fix it. Caleb nodded, his eyes on the table. I was angry. Noah. At you. At myself. I thought if I pushed you away, it'd make things simpler. But it didn't. It made me hate myself. Noah's throat tightened, tears threatening to spill. I never stopped loving you, he said. Either of you. Even when it hurt. John's face twisted, but Ruth reached for his hand. John, please. They're our boys. All of them. The room fell silent, the ticking of the old clock the only sound. John's eyes darted between the deed and his son's, his anger warring with something deeper grief. Maybe. Or regret. You think you can just erase the past? He asked, his voice softer now, almost broken. No, Noah said. But we can build something new. Together. John stood, his chair scraping against the floor. I need time, he said, and walked out, the door slamming behind him. The triplets sat in stunned silence, Ruth's hand trembling in Noah's. He'll come around, she whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. Eli looked at Noah, his eyes searching. What if he doesn't? Then we fight for what's ours, Noah said, his resolve hardening. For Grandpa. For us. That night, Noah called Julian, his voice shaking as he recounted the day. I don't know if we'll win, he admitted. But I'm not alone anymore. Julian's voice was warm, steady. You never were. Noah. I'm here. And I'm proud of you. As Noah hung up, he looked out at the ranch, its fields glowing under the moon. The fight wasn't over, but for the first time, he felt like he belonged. The next morning dawned cold, the Montana air sharp with the promise of change. Noah stood on the porch, the deed and journal tucked under his arm, watching as Eli and Caleb loaded hay bales into the barn. Their movements were synchronized, a reminder of the bond they'd once shared and were fighting to reclaim. The ranch hummed with life, but the shadow of their father's anger loomed large. John had spent the night in town, leaving Ruth to mediate between her sons and their uncertain future. She joined Noah on the porch, her eyes tired but hopeful. He called this morning, she said. He's coming back. Wants to talk. Noah's stomach twisted. What does that mean? I don't know, Ruth admitted. But he's listening. That's more than he's done in years. By noon, John's truck rolled into the driveway, his face unreadable as he approached the house. The triplets and Ruth gathered in the living room, the air thick with anticipation. John held a folder, his knuckles white around it. I saw the lawyer, he said, his voice gruff. The deed's legal. Amos filed it before he died. Noah's heart leaped, but he stayed silent, waiting. John opened the folder, revealing a copy of the deed and a new document, a proposal to divide the ranch into 3 equal shares. "This is what you want?" John asked, his eyes locking on Noah. "To tear this place apart." "Not tear it apart," Noah said, his voice steady. "Keep it whole. Together." Eli nodded. "We run it as partners. All 3 of us. Equal." Caleb leaned forward, his voice earnest. "Dad, we've lost enough. Let's do this right." John's eyes softened, just for a moment, before hardening again. "And if I say no? If I fight this?" "Then you lose us," Ruth said, her voice breaking. "All of us." The words hit John like a blow, and he sank into a chair, the folder falling to the table. For the first time, Noah saw his father's strength falter, replaced by a vulnerability he'd never shown. "I thought I was protecting this family," John whispered. "Protecting our name." "You were protecting your pride," Noah said, not unkindly. "But family's more than a name. It's us." John looked at his sons, his eyes tracing the faces he'd raised but barely knew. "I don't understand you, Noah," he said. "I don't get it. But I don't want to lose you again." The admission was small, but it cracked something open in Noah's heart. He reached across the table, his hand resting near his father's. "Then don't." The room held its breath as John picked up the proposal, his hand steady now. He signed it, his signature sharp and deliberate, then slid it to the triplets. "It's yours," he said. "But you'd better not screw it up." Eli laughed, a sound of relief and disbelief. Caleb grinned, his eyes shining. Noah felt tears spill down his cheeks, but he didn't care. They were together, flawed, fractured, but trying. That afternoon, the triplets walked the ranch, their boots sinking into the earth their grandfather had loved. They talked, really talked, for the first time in years about the past, the pain, the future. Eli admitted his fear of failing as a leader. Caleb confessed his guilt for pushing Noah away. Noah shared his dreams of bringing art to the ranch, of making it a place of healing for others like him. As the sun set, they stood at the edge of the fields, the horizon ablaze with color. Noah thought of Julian, of the life they'd built, and the one they could build here. He thought of Amos, whose love had reached beyond the grave to pull them back together. "We're going to make it work," Eli said, his voice firm. "We have to," Caleb added, his hand on Noah's shoulder. Noah nodded, his heart full. "For Grandpa. For us." The ranch stretched before them, vast and unbroken, a testament to love's endurance. They were Harpers, all of them, and this land was their legacy, not just to inherit, but to earn, together.